My name is Amy Collins. This is Free Advice Friday. I am here to answer your questions every week. You can join us and ask your questions live every Friday between 10 a.m. Eastern and 11, simply by going to amysadvice.com. If you go to amysadvice.com, there's a couple of big buttons there. The one that takes you to the YouTube page where you can watch old editions as well as shorter versions of Free Advice Friday. We pull out all the important questions and we make them their own videos now, and they're transcribed. For those of you who prefer to read rather than listen, we've got another button where you can sign up to join us here on the webinar. And so let's just dig right into the questions. So many questions were emailed this week. I would very much like to encourage anyone who's got a question and who can't be here live on Fridays to email me at questions@amysadvice.com. Questions@amysadvice.com will get you into the queue. Now, I jotted down the questions on the back of an envelope on the plane last night. I was going through my emails. I grabbed them all. So let's get started. I see that Anna's got a question to start live, and we try and give people who are joining us live preferential treatment. And besides, Anna's one of my favorites. So I'm going to answer her question first and then get to the ones that were emailed to us. Anna said she was told to concentrate on influencers, not small bookstores. Absolutely good advice, depending on your situation. What I do is I put together a plan, and Anna, I think I've already offered, but I'm happy to do this with you. I put together a plan where I concentrate. I batch my activities. I concentrate for a short period of time on reaching out to different elements of the marketplace. So quite often, I will spend the first 90 days of a book's life reaching out to influencers, to bloggers, to reviewers. Then I will spend the next 90 days of a book's life. Perhaps the book's launch will happen during that time, because a book is alive long before it actually launches. Once the cover's done and you're in the final proofreading stage, you can start concentrating on influencers and bloggers. You can send out electronic copies of your book, start getting testimonials, endorsements, get reviews all lined up. I quite often will put the ebook out before the print book, so you can even post reviews online. But the next 90 days, focus on online sales, online advertising. I want you to keep focusing on influencers, people with big Twitter followings, people who have a huge LinkedIn component if you're nonfiction, or an enormous Goodreads, or some of the top Amazon reviewers at like Grady Harp and those guys. That's your first 90 days. Your second 90 days, yes, focus online, but add, online advertising, add perhaps an ebook promotion, drop the price down to 99 cents, see if you can get a BookBub deal. But you don't stop doing what you're doing the first 90 days, you add it in. 90 days later, add in libraries. 90 days later, add in bookstores. If you find that you're having a hard time doing everything at once, you're not alone. I have a hard time, we all do. So what I do is I add a little bit at a time. Again, I use the analogy a lot of going to the gym, but you don't go to the gym the first day and work out for 2 hours. You start with 15 minutes on the treadmill and you go home and say, I'm not doing that again, but then you go back the next day. Over time, you build up stamina. You will be able to easily knock out influencers in a matter of moments after your first 90 days, but keep going and add new things in. So I hope, Anna, I know you, I know your book. I think that you do need to concentrate on bookstores, and I think that libraries is a really good fit for you as well, but don't not do influencers, bloggers, endorsers. I'm afraid we have to do it all. I'm so sorry. Victoria's asking, she received her certificate of registration from the U.S. Copyright Office. Nice job, Victoria. For her first 2 novels. She sent a copy of each book. What happens to those copies? Do they go to the Library of Congress? Not necessarily. Victoria, the Library of Congress, although we call it America's Library, they are in no way obligated to keep copies, stock copies, even electronic copies. They're not even obligated to register some books. They've got a minimum that but they do it. They do it. But It depends on what happens to those copies. In many cases, they're recycled or pulped. In many cases, they're donated. If you go to their website, they will tell you what the procedure is. They're very clear about it. But no, your book is not necessarily sitting, each of those novels is not necessarily sitting the physical copy somewhere in the Library of Congress, I'm afraid. All right, let's see. We've got a comment on Facebook. Let me just quickly look and see. Let me just make sure that we don't have a question on Facebook. I try and keep all sorts of stuff going. I try and keep a lot of plates spinning, and I'm looking at the live questions. I promise I will email you these. I'll get to the emailed questions as well. No questions, but a hi, hello to everyone who's watching live on Free Advice Friday. I would also like to suggest, if I may, please feel free, anyone who's listening and who wants to join in with the community. If you go to facebook.com/groups/Free Advice Friday, facebook.com/groups-Free Advice Friday, and you follow us, like us, you can join that group. I promise I'm admitting everyone. Join the group. And I'm answering questions there as well all throughout the week. So it's a great way if emails at questions@amysadvice.com doesn't do it for you, if you don't want to join us live, if you're watching this on Facebook, or if you're watching this later on YouTube, you can go to facebook.com/groups/Free Advice Friday and join the group there. Drop any of the questions as you want to. I'd be happy to answer. All right, so that was Anna's question. I knocked off Victoria's question. It's good to see. Oh, there's a lot of you here today. My gosh, Kate, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Good morning, Linda. All right, Wendy, always a pleasure. I want to get to an important question, a question that came up because of a Twitter post I posted last week. What happens when Amazon takes offense or somehow criticizes or worse, penalizes you for misusing their logo? Are you guys all aware of the brand usage rules that Amazon is insisting upon and they're starting to crack down on? I have a very short story. I'm not going to mention any names, but an extremely talented author, one of my favorite authors. She's a self-published author. She's also been published traditionally, but she's kind of known out in the self-publishing world. She's very successful. She got online a week or two ago and was flabbergasted. Amazon had yanked her Amazon affiliate. She had applied to be an Amazon affiliate. She'd been approved conditionally, but she'd been approved. Links were up. Everything was great. Apparently, when I tell you guys that Amazon is looking at stuff, I mean it. Apparently on, I think it was her Instagram page, it doesn't matter, but on her Instagram page, there was the Amazon #1 badge, because when you get to #1 in your category on Amazon, Amazon will put the Amazon #1 badge right on your book for as long as it's up there. And this author took that wonderful screenshot of the book with the one, and she put it on her Instagram page. That is apparently not allowed. I didn't know this. So I want to share with you guys, I have printed out 30 pages, which I'm not going to read them all to you, but I did manage to make quite a few notes. And I wanted to give you an overview of what Amazon does and does not allow for the use of their brand. Are you guys aware that there's very, very specific ways that you can use their logo on your website? I wasn't. And that if they go to your website and they see that you're misusing their brand or you're going against their brand usage guidelines, they will come after you. They'll pull your book down until you fix it. They will block your Author Central account. It's all laid out in their brand usage guidelines and in their brand permissions. I wanted to read to you what I found when I started looking into this, some of the highlights, some of the things that I found were very important, and I've printed them out here for you here, but I also wanted to strongly recommend that if you go to newshelves.com/FAF, newshelves.com/FAF, or amysadvice.com, either website, by about 3 o'clock Friday, January 17th, I will have all of these brand usage guidelines up on that page. For those of you who are watching this on a replay, just go to amysadvice.com, Look for the January 13th, 2020 episode, and you will see all of these guidelines, links to them, as well as PDFs embedded right in the page, because I want you guys to have access to these. Now, if you're watching this as a replay in 2021, I'm sure the rules have all changed, but it should be good for now. So let me start with a few of the things that I didn't know you couldn't do with Amazon. Do you know that when you send your newsletter out or on your website, and you're asking people to check it out on Amazon.com, if you do not capitalize Amazon and the com, you are in violation of their brand use. You have to capitalize Amazon. You are not allowed. And so even just a typo, because their brand registry is, their brand is so powerful to them and so important that you have to use the right typeface, the right graphical settings, and you need to be able to match them. You are not allowed to use Amazon.com all lowercase and Times Roman. If you're going to put it on your website, it needs to be capitalizes. You are allowed to use certain phrases in your Amazon mentions on your blog and on your website, such as shop now at Amazon.com. But you're not allowed to say shop now at Amazon.com all lowercase, or shop now at Amazon.com in all caps. Amazon.com in all caps. I do that sometimes. I just want to make it bigger. That is not approved, and they will actually penalize that for you, because Amazon should always be in title case, the A capitalized, lowercase for everything else. Brand phrases that are not approved, you are not allowed to use. You are not allowed to use Seller Central, One Click, Gold Box, Deal of the Day. These are brand phrases that if you would like to use Amazon Mom, Look Inside the Book, One Click, any of it, even Subscribe and Save, or the word Kindle. To be safe, you need to get permission. Amazon has a permission, an actual brand usage link, which I'm going to include on amysadvice.com, but there is a brand usage link that you can click on simply to request permission to use Amazon's brand, their logo, and some of these things like Gold Box and Deal of the Day on your site. You don't need to wait very long for them to approve it. I did it myself last week. They approved it within moments, but I found that I was absolutely flabbergasted. I had no idea any of these rules were here. You're not allowed to use the Amazon.com logo in black and white. You have to use their brand colors. Black and white is unacceptable. So that's considered an unapproved color. You can't drop a shadow behind it. You can't outline it. You cannot modify it. So many of the Amazon logos that I've used over the years, I've just pulled from online. I just went to google.com and went to images. I've pulled them all down. I fixed it. But this author's heartbreaking story of she was actually pulled out of the Amazon affiliate program because she had put the Amazon #1 badge, which Amazon had put on her book. She'd simply just taken a screenshot and shared it on social media. That is not allowed. Another thing I want to be very clear about with Amazon brand usage guidelines is you are allowed to say shop now, pre-order now, all that. You're not allowed to use the Amazon button. You can't grab that and use it on your thing. You're not allowed to say, to ask people to expand the ad or to leave. You're not allowed. It's amazing what they have here on the guidelines. You are allowed to say shop now. You're not allowed to say indulge, or there's certain words where they feel it's overpromising. So I beg of you guys, go to the Amazon brand usage guidelines. I am asking you all, again, don't do it right now. I haven't put it up yet, but go to amysadvice.com, go to the January 17th, 2020 link, and you will see a PDF of these Amazon brand usage guidelines, and make sure you follow them. I do not want Amazon putting my book down until I fix things. I don't want them blocking my blog on my Amazon Author Central page. I just certainly do not want them telling me I can't be a Seller Central or an affiliate. So I wanted to make you guys very aware of some of these rules. I hope I didn't bore you all and go on. I was fascinated by this. And if I've got other questions that have come in about Amazon that I wanted to go over, but I wanted to hit up this brand usage first. It's absolutely flabbergasting to me. All right, let's see. I'm just going to go to chats real quick and make sure that make sure nobody has dropped anything in the chat box, because you know how you guys are. You don't always use the Q&A box. Look at that, 5 things in the chat box. Let me see what's going on here. Ellie's asking, what about Barnes & Noble and other places when it comes to using brand logos? She has Amazon and other links on her website, postcards, handouts. Yeah, Ellie, I'm in the same situation. I'm taking a moment and I'm going to the brand usage guidelines. I'm making sure that I've asked for permission. I filled out the form. It was very simple. It was three lines. It was no big deal. I will put the link on the page, and I'm just kind of, I can't do everything in one day, but I can very quickly make sure that anything that I've got posted on my website or my social media, that I go within their brand logos. I don't know about Barnes & Noble or other places, but boy, you bet I'm gonna look now. Why is this important? Let me tell you why it's important. I wanna honor Amazon's logo. I wanna honor their brand usage. You guys come and join me here every week on Free Advice Friday. Well, I am very proud to tell you that I was recently awarded the trademark for the phrase Free Advice Friday. I have been using Free Advice Friday as a phrase, and I've been doing it on and off since 2007. But I've started to notice lately that Free Advice Fridays, it seemed to be popping up other places, and I went, no. So I spent the money, and I went to a lawyer, and I went and asked this lawyer to please help me register the trademark. And it looks like everything went through fine. But if I don't want people getting in, using Free Advice Friday willy-nilly to lure you guys away to other advice and publishing advice, I want to also honor Amazon's brand usage. The same thing is true when people go on Amazon and they take your book cover and they put it up for sale, these used booksellers who will sell your book for $12 less than Amazon selling it for, and they're doing it used because either they got a review copy, or they know they can get it inexpensively from Ingram Spark, so they drop the price real low and they undercut you. And a lot of you guys get upset about that. A lot of you guys come to me and say, how can we stop them? Well, we can't. But if I'm going to be upset that other people are trying to sell my book, I want to make sure I respect Amazon's brand. Let's see. Wendy's saying, what about when we use it for our books in text? It's right here, Wendy. If I promise I will link it. It's a 7-page PDF document, and it tells you exactly what logos you're allowed to use and how to use it. And again, capital A and then lowercase Amazon.com. And it was a lowercase com. I misspoke earlier. Capital A, that is fine. That is no problem. And if it's in a book and you're simply saying Amazon.com in your book, you don't need to change the font. But you do need to follow the brand guidelines. And so, yes, that's important. Somebody's asking, Amy, can I say Amazon #1 best-selling author? I don't know. I doubt it. Because according to the brand guidelines, you're not allowed to say Amazon. You have to say Amazon.com. So I'm guessing from what I've seen that Amazon #1 best-selling author, you are not allowed to use without permission. You need to get permission. And you are definitely not allowed to use their stamp. We have learned that the hard way. They are completely unwilling to give permission to use any of their logos or any of their artwork if it's the buy now button, the look inside button, or search inside. Even the phrases, they will not give permission. So I don't know. I don't know the rules. I haven't read it. But Wendy's saying you can't. She actually, apparently, Wendy Higdon, thank you. She looked into it and she's saying Amazon #1 best-selling author, but you can say #1 best-selling author. Well, that's true. But the fact is, guys, is that these brand usage guidelines, I looked into it pretty carefully. And no, I do not believe from what I've read, but I need you to read these yourself. These are very in-depth. Let's see. Victoria, I will get to your questions about the 90-day thing. Wendy actually tried to use it, and she was actually told by, a formatter who was in the business for years actually has already alerted Wendy to this. So Wendy's way ahead of the game. I'm not. Oh, sorry, guys. All right, so I'm going to get to your other questions, but there was one more emailed question that went along with Amazon that, if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to answer next because it falls in line. How many of you have decided to put your hardcover or your children's 4-color book on Amazon through Ingram Spark? And how many of you have found time and time again that there are periods, sometimes hours, sometimes days, once or twice a week, when your book is either listed as out of stock or available but not available for overnight or 2-day delivery? It takes 3 to 4 days to get to people. And you know that the reason why your book is out of stock is because Amazon no longer is listing every Ingram Spark book as automatically in stock. Those days are over. Some of my clients and some authors I know and love, they're print on demand through KDP, but they're also print on demand through Ingram Spark, and their books always seem to be in stock. Always. There's no problem. But the books that are only going through Ingram Spark, or books that are going through a wholesaler, books that Ingram doesn't even get print on demand, books that you've printed offset in Canada, here in the US, overseas in Malaysia or India or China or Korea, and that they're warehoused either at Pathways or Itasca or Book Clearinghouse or even NBN. What do you do when your book is out of stock on Amazon? I have come up with a very cool hack. I am suggesting, because I did this, I am strongly suggesting that you guys get an Amazon Seller Central account. Get an Amazon Seller Central account and have 5-10 copies of your book sitting around in your guest room or in your office or wherever, and post on your Seller Central account your own book. Sell your book. Have at least 10 copies listed as in stock. If you get a huge, like if you're Andrea Marcellus and you get a big listing in Women's Day magazine like she did this week, and you don't want your books running out of stock, you can always say that you have the stock and that you are willing to sell it. You can say you have 200 copies. If you do, don't lie. But if you've got copies of your book and you want Amazon to always be in stock, may I recommend that you apply for a Seller Central account and you sell your own book through it. This is in addition to what you're doing with Ingram Spark, or if you've got a wholesaler or a fulfillment warehouse like Itasca or Pathways. This is another layer of sales. If it turns out that some people want to buy from you directly, great. You're going to make a lot more money because you don't have to give Amazon the 40% discount, the 50% discount, whatever it is you happen to be discounting it. You just sell the book directly through Amazon. But if Amazon miraculously and surprisingly runs out of stock because they're having yet another pissing match with Ingram Spark, or if they run out of stock because they're not particularly interested in supporting smaller publishers and so they're not ordering enough stock, you always have a backup option. Your book will stay available on Amazon. You as a Seller Central can offer free shipping. And if you're going to get pretty much full price for your book, minus the 90 or 99 cents that Amazon's going to charge you for every sale you get through Seller Central, it's minimal, then give them free shipping. And that way your book is easily competitive with anyone else's, and it will not be out of stock on Amazon when they start pulling their shenanigans. I hope that was helpful. I have found it very helpful lately, and I have tons of questions coming in here. So I'm going to go back to Zoom, back to the Q&A. And for those of you who are watching me on live on Facebook, let me see if there's any questions there as well. I promise we'll get to all of them in the next 30 minutes or so. Whenever Andrew Heffernan sends me a question, I hesitate to answer it. Dear my friends. Bodie wrote a week ago about it. Please shoot me a message about it. Bodie, I did not get that email. I'm so sorry. I will look and I will absolutely answer you about that. I'm sorry. Wendy likes my outfit today. Thanks, Wendy. I'm wearing a Doctor Who t-shirt. Allons-y. because I love David Tennant. So I'm wearing my favorite Doctor Who t-shirt today. All right, let's see. Let's get back to the important questions. But thank you, Wendy. I'm sure I love what you're wearing too. Sonia's saying that she's heard that she should have a Q&A for reporters on the website. How long should it be? Number of questions. How long should the answers be? And how? Okay, so this is wonderful. Great advice. All of you, fiction, nonfiction, children's book. I don't care if you wrote a book that is specifically for goldfish to read to learn how to survive in a bowl with other goldfish. I don't care what kind of author you are. You need to have a page on your website that is for the media. It should have a high-res downloadable JPEG of a high-res big file of your headshot, and it should have a low-res 400 by 400 square smaller one for the internet. It should have your bio downloadable in a Word document, something where people can cut and paste. And my bio has 3 or 4 different lengths. I have a tag bio, which is about 50 words. I have a short bio that's about 100 words, and I have a long bio that's 300 words. Give people everything they want. Another thing your media page needs, Sonia is absolutely right, is you need Q&As for reporters. Sample questions for reporters. I like the phrase sample questions. And so I usually, and I have, if you look on my site, I have 5 sample questions. Questions that bloggers, podcasters, reporters have asked me in the past, and I really liked the questions, so I totally stole them. And I wrote out questions and answers in a Word document that the media could use, that they could reprint if they want, but it also gives them a really good idea of the sorts of things that they can ask me about. And I'm very, very clear in the document. This is just a sample. There are so many more questions that you're allowed to ask me, but those sample questions are extremely helpful to let the blogger, the podcaster, the freelancer know that you've got some game. And it's a great way to introduce yourself to them. Another thing I have on my page, now this is mainly for nonfiction authors. If you're an expert in any way, and how do you know you're an expert in a topic? Here you go. This is the litmus test. You're an expert in a topic when you say you are. I'm sorry, we're all experts in something. We're all experts in something. And you will never be seen by the media as a go-to expert until you start believing it and until you start saying it. I don't mean lie. I don't mean misrepresent. I have a music degree and an English degree. I would never say I've got an MBA, and no one should ever ask me legal advice. You don't even want me figuring out the tax or the tip on a check. Not my skill set. But I became an expert in the publishing world after many, many years of thinking, well, other people know more than me. Well, they might. But I'm the one out here telling y'all, giving it to you for free. So I'm an expert in the publishing industry. And you know what happened very quickly? I became one. So it works backwards. So if you are an expert, or if you want to become one in a particular area of expertise, and you've written a book, especially a nonfiction book, your webpage should probably also include 5 or 6 pages, different pages. This is what I have on different topics that you can speak on. Here's the topic. Here's a 75-word description of what the topic is about. And here's 5 to 7 bullet points of what, if you speak on this topic, what the listeners will come away with. I want to speak on the new rules on Amazon.com, because now I know to capitalize the Amazon and always put .com. The Amazon.com new rules for review. And then I write a description. This talk, Amy spends 45 minutes going through exactly what's going on today about what the rules are, what is allowed and what is not allowed for Amazon.com reviews. Followers, readers, listeners, depending on what you're pitching, people who sit through this god-awful presentation, they will get the following. And that's where the bullet points come in. 1, they will learn exactly how to avoid getting into Amazon jail, Amazon trouble. 2, they will learn how to get more reviews by following the rules. 3, they will stop wasting their time and risking their reputation on Amazon. So I put bullet points together. Also a good idea. So Sonia, I hope that was helpful. I don't call it a Q&A. I call it sample questions, but the advice is the same. All right. Mary is partnering with a very successful business women's consultant, 30 years experience, has tens of thousands of followers. Her clients will buy book publishing packages, and though this woman has asked Mary to be the editor. Congratulations, that's wonderful. The women are micro business owners, and we're going to be writing books to promote their businesses and present themselves as experts in their field. How many words per book would be ideal? I can answer this. Oh, I love it when I can answer a question. I've talked to agents, I've talked to booksellers, I've talked to publishers, especially in the business world. If you would like a real book, not a booklet, not a pamphlet, and if you don't want godforsaken tome, if you don't want the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, that's not exactly what it's called. But if you're not looking for, Ulysses, then shoot for a minimum of 60,000 words. 60 to 80,000 words is a gorgeous word count. Most business authors, most nonfiction prescriptive how-to authors peter out around 30,000 words, 30 to 40,000 words. It's not enough. At that point, you start acting like a college kid who's trying to get up to the page count for their professor for their paper. You start playing with margins, you make the font bigger. You tell yourself that your readers are older and they need bigger font. No, they don't. That's what large print books are for. Books and design, if you only have 30,000 words in your book, you are going to have a booklet. You are not going to have a full-size book. You need to have 60,000 words, guys, because the editor is going to pare some of that down. So I like 80,000 words, because if you've got a good editor, you never end up with as many words as you started with. A good editor cuts away a lot of the duplications and asks you to do a lot of rewrites. So Mary, 60 to 80,000 words. That's my answer. All right, let's see other questions from you guys. Let me go back. Anna's saying, are libraries and bookstores resistant to stocking paperback as opposed to carrying hardcover books? No, they're not. Matter of fact, libraries and bookstores prefer paperback for adult books. And by adult books, I mean grown-up books. Let's not be childish. Maybe it's just me because it's Friday. But if you've written a children's book, especially a picture book, well then yes, hardcover is by far preferred by libraries. And you probably won't get a children's picture book in a paperback, because if you're print on demand, you need to have writing on the spine. And it's very, very hard to get a 32-page print on demand paperback to get printing on that spine. You can. Don't let them tell you that they can't. If you've got 32 pages or more, you can fit it on there, but it's really hard to read. So for a children's book, hardcover is a good idea. And for certain, very few grown-up categories, but for the most part, libraries and bookstores don't have the money to risk on an unknown author from an unknown new publisher. And now on top of it, they've got to spend $30 on a well, not 30 because they get a 40% discount, but now they've got to spend $22, $23 on a $28 hardcover when they could spend $11 on a $16 hardcover. Remember I told you guys not to trust me to do math? None of you, don't check up on that. I'm sure neither of those are 40%. But so no, you're good with paperback, my friends. All right. Linda said, I once mentioned the importance of using those red buttons to click on a link. How do you do them? How do you do red buttons? Oh, you mean on your website or on your link? Okay, I get that. I see what you're saying, Linda. There is a button generator. Let me get you the link that I love. I use a button generator. It's totally free. There's the Button Factory. The Button Factory is a great one. The Button Factory, DABUTTONFACTORY.com. But there's a number of free button generation that I just love. Let's see. Bootstrap button generator, call to action. Where is the one that I like? Let me get this for you. There it is, found it. All right. Let me drop this link in. It's called mdbootstrap.com, and they've got a button generator, and this is the one I use, and it is a wonderful, I'm gonna drop this right into the chat box for you guys. This is the one, you can use it, just Google if you don't like this one. But this is how to generate a button. And so you type in what you want, you make it the color you want, you make it as big as you want, and then you just copy the code or you just cut and paste it into your website. It's as simple as that. For those of you who are watching on Facebook, let me drop this into the Facebook chat as well. All right. Oh, Bodhi, you wrote me on my Facebook page. Ooh, I'm not great about checking my Facebook messages. I'm so sorry. I'll have to get better about that. I apologize. That explains it. All right, let's go back to the questions. Ellie's saying, no question, just saying it was nice to see me in this month's issue of Writer's Digest. Thank you. I wrote an article that, Ellie, you may be talking about Bob Eckstein's cartoon of me, but also if you're not, the March issue of Writer's Digest, I wrote an article, and it was fun. It was a great deal of time. Amy, could you please give us a link to your media page? Yeah, no, happy to do it. I will drop that right in. Let's see other questions. Can I recommend an expert to run and manage Amazon ads and Facebook ads? Of course I can. Annette, Carrie Barnum. Carrie Barnum, who works with me here at New Shelves Books. I'd be an idiot not to tell you her first. I love Carrie. Carrie really nails it. Not only does she nail it, but there's a couple of authors, one of whom is on the phone, on the call right now, who uses Carrie to run her Amazon ads. And although she's used other people in the past, Carrie's ads seem to get her a lot more profits. She makes a lot more money when Carrie manages them, and she's very inexpensive. So if you guys are at all interested in Carrie running any of your Amazon ads or Facebook ads, or coaching you to do it yourself, then just email info@newshelves.com. I'll send it right to Carrie and she'll get in touch with you. Great, Annette, thank you for that question. Wendy is saying, Carrie's ads are still amazing. She did mine a while ago and they're still profitable. Wendy Vanderpool, thank you very much for that. All right, we have a question here from, I'm so sorry, her name is Nancy. Oh, Nancy, it's good to see you. If she wants to print on demand a paperback through Ingram Spark, KDP, any of that, can inside flaps be added? Not at the moment. If you use print on demand, please do not confuse print on demand with digital printing. If you want to print a short run of your books on digital printers, yes, flaps can be added. But if you want to use the print on demand companies, remember guys, print on demand is a business model. So if you'd like to use the print on demand business model, that means you're going through a print on demand company such as Ingram Spark, KDP, Nook, Barnes & Noble's Nook and Pubbit system. None of these options use or allow you to use flaps for the paperback. Flaps seem to be coming back again. I don't know why. I mean, what is it, 1994? But flaps are on their way back. I get it, but it's not at the moment an option. All right. Let's see, other questions. Victoria's asking me to repeat the add something every 90 days. Sure, let me repeat again. And it's different for every author. So let me talk about one of my books. I'm toying with the idea of writing a self-help motivational book. Why? I don't know. Ego problems, bad childhood, not exactly sure why. But I've got this idea for a book, and this is not a euphemism. This is not hypothetical. I really have this idea for a book where I'm going to take all of the things that I've heard from you authors over the last few years, all of the reasons why something didn't work, and I'm going to turn it around and address each one, how we can turn that on its head. Either I'm not famous enough, or I don't have time, or whatever the reason is. And so I'm thinking of writing this book. If this book, let's say we were going to call it Shut Up, You're Fine. That's not what I'm going to call it. But let's say we're going to call the book Shut Up, You're Fine. And Shut Up, You're Fine is coming out in March. In January, I would make the ebook available real quiet, real on the down low. And I would spend January through March, so 90 days. Let's say the release date was March 30th. I would spend 90 days with a down low, quiet edition of my book in paperback and as an ebook, unannounced, just quiet, just down there. And for 90 days, this is what I would do. I would then start quietly getting reviews, sending out endorsement. I'd be going after influencers. I'd be going after bloggers. I would be asking top Amazon reviewers and top bloggers to review my book. This is just what I do. This is not the trade release of the March 30th book. I use different ISBNs. This is the first, I would say, soft launch. Then at the end of March, beginning of April, when the actual pub date is, then I put the real paperback up with the real ISBN, the one that I've been announcing. I've been announcing it for months. I've been talking about it, and the ISBN ends, 007. That book goes up. It launches everywhere. It's been on blogs. Reviews are happening. People are getting excited. I've got, maybe I'm doing a pre-order campaign. I don't usually love it. But for 90 days, I've been building reviews and endorsements. I then shut down the first edition, the what I would call the soft launch edition. And I ask Amazon to copy the reviews over to the real launch edition. This is how I do it. And then spend the next 90 days advertising like crazy to the online world. I'll advertise on Google, Facebook, Pinterest. If it was a self-help book, I would definitely be all over Facebook, but Amazon. I then promote for 90 days. After 90 days, then I'm going to want to do an ebook promotion and maybe bring libraries into it. So the third 90-day section, I drop the price to 99 cents for a couple of weeks. I go out like crazy and I advertise that my ebook is only 99 cents or $1.99 or whatever I want it to be. I try and get a BookBub promotion during that time, but I also concentrate on libraries. I am still asking influencers and bloggers to review my book. I am still doing the second wave of 90 days, which is advertising, promoting, and suggesting my book online. But now I've added ebook discounts and libraries. The ebook price goes back up. And the fourth 90 days, now I'm going after gift stores, bookstores. Why do I wait until the fourth 90 days? Because at this point now, hopefully, I have hundreds of reviews. Hopefully, I've got tons of endorsements. There are all sorts of blogs about me out there. My stupid face is all over the podcast. And when the bookstores Google me, look up my book, and they see how many copies have sold through BookScan because I've been pushing it online, and I've been building. So, Victoria, now again, that is a very 30,000-foot view. Putting a marketing plan together it's faster than, it's much longer than that. That was a very, quick overview, but that is a rough view of how to do it 90 days at a time. All right. Let's see if there's other questions. Yes, Wendy, I am going to post a link to my media page, but I'm answering questions. I promise I'll look it up in a second. Bob likes the idea, and it sounds like something that needs illustration and cartoons. We'll talk. I'm very excited. Bodhi, it's lovely to see you here. Thank you. Let's see if we've got other questions. I've been waxing poetic now for 45 straight minutes. You guys are so patient. Let's see if there's other questions. Oh, Deborah, good morning. Yes, catch the replay. For those of you, any of you, who are watching this on a replay, please go to amysadvice.com. If you go to amysadvice.com, you will see that I have posted earlier today in this talk, I was talking about Amazon brand guidelines. I had a tip for you guys about how to make sure your book is never out of stock on Amazon, even if you're print on demand and with Ingram Spark. I figured out a little hack. So feel free to go to amysadvice.com and just sign up. You can watch the replays. Somebody is texting me like crazy. It's my mom. All right. Hi, Mom. Oh, is she telling me that I have something hanging out of my nose or something? Nope. It's all good. All right. Morning, Mom. Good to see you. I'm going to see you tomorrow. I'm heading up to Burlington first thing in the morning. Wendy was approached by someone who wants her on their podcast. That's wonderful. But they want her to pay $150. No. In case any of you are questioning whether or not you should pay to be on a podcast or on a radio show, the answer is no. No, don't, no. Am I clear? Do not pay to be on a podcast. You earn your way onto podcasts. If you start paying now, you will never get into the big leagues. That is not a good idea. Now, if you want to advertise your book on a podcast, if you want to advertise your book on a radio show, if you want to pay the podcaster to read your book and give their honest opinion, if you want to pay a blogger to advertise your book or to run a contest, absolutely, yes. But a review, an interview, editorial content needs to stay as far away from money as possible. Editorial content there should never be quid pro quo. There should never be an exchange of goods and services. No. I don't even have someone, I don't know if you guys know this, but I've started now once a month having guests on Free Advice Friday. Guess who's coming? Jane Friedman is going to be on in February. I'm so excited. Joel Friedlander is coming on in March. I love the guests I have, but I'm not doing it for anything in return. They're not paying me. I'm not asking to be in any of their things. Editorial content needs to be pristine. The minute you start paying, you're in trouble. No, Wendy, no. All right. Bodie is asking, Bodie, I believe you're asking, you've got 13 books out and a couple have hit #1 in specific categories. And Bodie put Amazon #1 sticker on the cover about 8 years ago. Your books are not being penalized because they've changed the Amazon sticker, but the rules have changed. You're not being penalized, but you got to take it off. It's, maybe Amazon will never notice. Maybe your books are below their radar. But 2 or 3 years ago, when Amazon first started looking at reviews, customer reviews, we all said, oh, they're not going to get to the majority of the reviews. It'll be fine. You guys remember that? Well, 3 years have gone by, and now every review is scrutinized. Let's get ahead of this, guys. Let's agree as a team that we're going to get ahead of this Amazon branding thing, and I can help. Yes, you need to take Amazon #1 sticker off your cover, and then once you do, then you can go to Amazon's brand department and you can ask permission and then put it back on. But boy, you don't want to get caught using it incorrectly. Go to the brand usage guidelines. I've always said it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. That's only true in your marriage. It's not a good idea in your publishing program. You can be dangerous on your own time, but when it comes to Amazon, you don't want to mess around. So Bodie, if you were my kid's sister or brother, I'm not exactly sure. If you were my kid's sibling, I would suggest pull that sticker off right away on your print-on-demand files, put the book back up without it, then go through the application process, get their permission and put it back up. It's not that big of a deal. It's swapping it off and I'm sure you've got the source files to your books after 13 books, so it should be good. Annette is saying Amazon put their Advantage program on hold. Yes, I know. Do you know why and do you recommend joining it when it's not going to reopen, Annette? Amazon Advantage. Now, this is an open industry secret. They've said nothing, but it's very much like, do you guys remember a year or two ago when I told you CreateSpace was going away? You got to listen to me here. Amazon Advantage is going away. Amazon has shut down Amazon Advantage. I'm so sorry for this pinging. Amazon has shut down the Advantage program for, I love phones, but my goodness, has shut down the Amazon Advantage program for new applicants. However, those of us who've been a member or a part of Amazon Advantage, we're still in. But I'm telling you, in the next year or two, Amazon Advantage is going to be gone. It's not going to reopen. They're moving away from it. Amazon is not particularly interested in buying books. It's too low margin for them. And they're done. They're moving on to shoes and makeup and lighting fixtures and computers, and they don't want to buy books from authors to turn around and resell them. You either go print on demand or they'll buy from a larger source. Amazon Advantage, I believe, is on its last legs. So, sorry. Let's see. That may be it. Nancy likes the title, Shut Up, You're Fine. Okay. Do you guys know I once wrote a book, and the actual publisher eventually called it Get Over It, but I wanted to call it Suck It Up, and they didn't like that very much. But I like being a little salty in titles. I'm salty in general. All right. Good morning. Let's see. Linda has a question. They had a situation. A book club wanted to buy 30 copies on Amazon.com, but Amazon would only sell her 15 or 10. Fortunately, they had extras on hand and were able to provide them for her. Well, Amazon probably only had 10 or 15. Amazon will allow you to buy larger in bulk, but she probably couldn't get them in time. So that's really good. I think I got all the questions. Did I miss any, guys? I will drop the link to my media page right now. I got hacked last week. I don't know if you guys are following me on Twitter or Facebook, but I got hacked last week. It happens every once in a while. I've changed firewalls and safety providers, but I'm wondering if the media page didn't get put back up yet. Let's see. Amy Collins, appearance and frequent. It's not there. Oh, that's mortifying. Hey, I love being imperfect in front of you guys. So the Amy Collins page, if you go to Amy Collins, you will be able to see, you'll be able to go to what you do. I want you to go to newshelves.com, go to work with us, and then arrow down to the Amy Collins page. And you will see all those links I talked about, my photos, my different bios, classes and sessions overview, but you will not see my sample questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put those right back. And for those of you who want to join me live and get your questions answered firsthand and get priority, please go to amysadvice.com. Join us live. We love it. Email me at questions@amysadvice.com. Go to amysadvice.com. Get a link to the YouTube channel, watch some old ones. And Marley and I, he probably won't be here next Friday, but Marley and I are going to hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And we will see you next Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern at Free Advice Friday. Bye, guys.